from Fairfield into Gettysburg. Apparently, the power is out. I heard this 2 nights ago. Cindy was on Facebook and she goes, oh, they're turning the power out in Gettysburg on Friday and Saturday. And I was like, say what? And it's apparently for a scheduled upgrade, I think, to the system, which is good. And they're doing it today and tomorrow in sections. They said that today Baltimore Street is going to be one of the sections, but so is tomorrow, which tells me that they're not doing all of Baltimore Street in one day. My question is, where is the cutoff? Is it on our block, or how far are they going? Are they just going a block off the square, 2 blocks off the square, 3? These are questions I need answered because I have a recording to do this afternoon in the studio, and our equipment is that sophisticated kind that needs electricity. So I need to know whether or not to reschedule with my guests today, who is Jim Hessler, by the way. We're going for our annual, what we call beer summit. Usually it's dinner, but this year we're doing it as lunch, and then we're going to go and record. And the beer summit started when our podcast started, really. And everybody thought that we were all mortal enemies because they're 2 Gettysburg podcasts, and we all had heard from listeners things about each other throwing shade at the other, and to be honest, I never went and listened for myself. I tend not to listen to other people's work for fear of being influenced or discouraged. Like, oh God, this person's better than me. So I don't listen to other people's stuff. I just live in my little delusion as best I can. And so, we took people's words for it. And then finally we met, and Jim had said to me, he's like, hey, there's no war between us. And I said, yeah, I don't know what that's all about. So we decided to go get dinner and talk, and we did. And I had a good time, and I said, well, you need to come on my show. And that began Jim Hessler coming on the show, which I love when Jim Hessler comes on, because I like Jim. I get along with Jim, and he makes me laugh. And but he also is easy to talk to, and he knows his shit. So we made an annual thing out of it in the winter when everybody's got nothing to do or less to do. We go on our, what we call, beer summit. And so that is supposed to be today. We'll see if electricity dictates whether or not it actually is. I mean, I guess we could still do the lunch, but I also have a sick dog at home. I'm not sure. She had a little bit of what we call the Hershey squirts this morning, and she seemed a little lethargic today. So I don't want to leave her in her crate all day if she's got stomach issues. So I might have to just reschedule anyway, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping the electricity makes up my mind for me. So that's what we're doing. We're driving in. It is a sweltering 36 degrees today. My God, I'm in shorts. It's been in the low 20s and high teens for a couple of weeks. So this feels like I'm in Bermuda, which is nice. And it's also an illusion. So it's, still cold. Let's see who's in the room today. Zach Werner. Hello, Zach. The musket you gave me years ago has made its way near my wood-burning stove. I'm just looking for the proper mounts to put it on the wall. But thank you for that. Dustin, good morning. Babra, hello. 6 questions, good morning. What, you're not running on hamster power in the studio? No, not anymore, Mike. Not anymore. We're in a real building now. John B says, I got a portable solar panel you can borrow. Dustin says, 6Q, did you get a confirmed date? Not yet. That should be revealed next week. Project Pass says, stay warm up there. We will. Thank you very much, James. John B, $1.99 for the electric bill. Thank you, John. Thank you. stomach issues. Poor Major. I can relate. I'm battering the neurovirus. Oh, are you really, Mike? Man, we've had, I have to tell you, since the fall, our little group has been decimated. By the way, decimated is only cut down by 10%. We use it as if it means like almost wiped out. It's not. We've been devastated by some upper respiratory thing that went through first, thanks to Colby, I think, or maybe we all, I don't know. And then now the neurovirus. I had a stomach thing. Just really miserable fall and early winter this year. But you know what they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And if it's the neurovirus, you'll drop 20 pounds of water weight. So can't go wrong with that. Good morning, Chantel. How are you? David, good morning. Ty says, Major got her issues from digging in the trash. Hope that's not how you got yours. Actually, she got hers from eating the droppings of other animals, probably deer. So I'm hoping it's not a parasite. She loves eating. It's so gross. And we have a lot of deer that like to chillax in our side yard. And so when we take her out, there's plenty of landmines for me to dodge, but she goes sniffing them out. You know, dogs are gross. And then she tries to lick us in the face. And we're like, get away. Told my doctor that hand sanitizer doesn't touch the norovirus, just washing hands I also am aware that hand sanitizer, rubbing alcohol or whatever, kills the good bacteria that we need on our hands. So it doesn't necessarily protect us from getting sick. Ty, how dare you judge my hobbies? This road out here is a beautiful drive. You should totally just come out for the sights when you come out in the leafy weather, we'll call it. The other 3/4 of the year that are aesthetically pleasing. When the farm fields and orchards are in full bloom and there's activity. R.I. Walker says, love Gettysburg. I know it well. I know exactly where you are. I love that. Bill, good morning to you. Ty, Mike Lentz, good to see. Good to see from the History Underground video that someone else is addicted to the Castile monuments like I am. R.I. Walter says, me too. So yeah, this is the, what is it, Ortana area, Carroll Valley, etc., etc. The Carroll's Tract and Ortana Road intersection is where I just went by, for those of you who are wondering. And we drive along. I think what I'm going to do is go to Route 30 today instead of take the detour that'll take us to Middle Street. Again, the camera doesn't do justice to what I see around here. The view up here is splendiferous. And we're going to do our, well, I guess if Mike's recovering from the neurovirus, he's not at work, but I'm sure Debbie is. So as we go by House Foods, we're going to beep to say hello. There we go. Hi, Debbie. And Mike, you are at work with the neurovirus, you better go home. You're gonna contaminate apples, don't do that. Good morning, Karen. SP says 45 degrees here today, -4 Sunday. Oh, I have temperature whiplash. Good God in heaven. You know, if it wasn't for Gettysburg and addressing Gettysburg, I would have been in a warmer clime years ago. When the winters are mild, it's not bad, but it's just constant cold and snow that doesn't melt all the way. It gets kind of depressing. Everybody's kind of walking around in a funk. No vitamin D can really combat it, and we got a walking pad at home, so that when I'm at my standing desk, I can walk instead of sit. And I'll tell you something, it doesn't really help. It doesn't really help. People say, diet and exercise, vitamin D, day one. Okay, well, we're doing it. Not helping. There's a certain temperature, I think. Once you drop below it, it's hard to get out of that funk. Also, the daylight not lasting beyond 5 o'clock is also a bitch. But we are moving towards more daylight, so we have to thank God for small blessings, right? But I wouldn't mind it getting dark early if it were warm out. Yes, the sixth question points out I am heading to Cashtown. That is true. And now that I'm behind this 18-wheeler who's going the same way, it'll take me 4.5 hours to get there. Do not move to Norway then. Yeah, no. I've seen enough movies or TV shows or just photographs that take place in Norway, and while it looks beautiful for the 10 minutes that it's not winter, I just couldn't handle those winters. Colby and his wife Taylor were over for dinner last week, and they had just gotten back from Montana, and we were talking about Montana, and I was like, I'd love to go out there. And I fantasize about living out there, but the reality of it is you've got a month and a week of summer, and then it's winter again, and I couldn't live with that. I don't know how people do it. I guess that's why it's sparsely populated, but it's tough. It's tough for me. Also, I couldn't live in places that are always raining. Again, unless it's always summer. I think the bottom line is, it needs to be warm. James G says, 60 seconds says, 73 watching. Don't forget to hit the like. That's right. SP called into a show and pointed out that I don't do that. And I got to be honest with you, you're not going to believe this because I portray a different version of myself, but I really am too shy to ask for that. And I think it's kind of annoying and obnoxious to do it. But everybody does it. That's how you do it. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't get it, because I like or subscribe or share if I think it's worthy of either. So I don't, and not because somebody says it in the video, but they do say it in all the videos. She's right. And so I recorded her pitch, and I started playing it on last week's AG Today, and I'm going to start incorporating it in. So if you're it doesn't matter if you're a patron or if you're just a regular listener and you want to have a little fun with us, why don't you do something like that? Send me a recording of yourself saying, what do you say? If you like this show and you want more content, smash the like button, or smash the whatever the hell you're supposed to smash. See, I don't even know what we're smashing. Subscribe and hit that like button, and make sure you turn on your notifications so that you get everything that we put up. And Sharon gave us a goal of reaching 25,000 followers by May. I think that's lofty, but we'll see. We'll try. We will try. Yeah, right, John. I won't be doing Addressing Oslo anytime soon. Yes, and the gray when it is daylight. Yes, that is not fun either. The cold in Montana can be rough. You do get used to the negative 30-degree temperatures. Well, it was, what was it? The other day, I was out and it was 18 degrees. And I just had I had like a shacket on. I didn't even really need to like bundle up for it. And I was like, this isn't really that bad. Now there was no wind and it was dry. I'm going to guess that the humidity has something to do with it. Like, in other words, if it was 40 degrees but more humid, it might make it seem colder, because I've noticed like I've been chillier in 40-degree weather than that 18-degree day. But who knows? Maybe I was just off that day. Phil says, heading into winter outdoor hobbies with decent gear changed my outlook on Wisconsin winters, and actually look forward to it, though I may just be trying to convince myself of that. Oh no, you're probably right. Idle hands are the devil's playground, and so if you're just sitting around waiting for spring to come, you're not doing anything good for yourself. I think we all know that. So it probably is good to get into some kind of winter activity. The problem with me is I slip and fall on my sidewalk if there's a dusting of snow. So I ain't getting on any skis or any snowboard. Snowmobiling seems expensive. And it's also out in the cold and the snow. All of those things. And that's my problem. The one thing I used to do was go to the lectures. And I looked forward to that, and it made the winter go by quickly. But I'm not doing that this year. So and now I'm kind of like, well, what the hell do I do? I mean, believe me, I got other things I could do, and I do them. But yeah, miss the camaraderie with the crew. So now we're heading on to Highway 30 East, going into Gettysburg. And we're going to find out if the studio has electricity or not. It's going to be very exciting. I would imagine I would know if my key card doesn't work, right? I mean, although you should be able to get into the building if there's a power outage. Well, we'll find out. If you want to imagine that you are in Archer's Brigade, Heat Division, and you're just having a leisurely stroll along essentially this road, and you're like, do 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 do, hey. And then you come to this bridge up ahead here, and you guys go across the bridge, and the colonel kind of steps to the side on his horse, and pop, you hear the sound of a carbine, and everybody's like, what the F was that? And you fan out on either side of the road and begin the slow progression into Gettysburg. This is where it happened. Of course, it didn't look anything like this. Fewer buildings, fewer trees, much better line of sight. Up top on the left here, this house is from where not the house, but the yard of the house is from where the carbine shot was fired. And you can go and see that today. There's a marker there, a first shot marker. Everybody likes seeing that. Go check that out and be like, wow, here it is. And you can stare into a forsythia bush and wonder what it must have looked like without the forsythia bush. Ty says, because of Rocky IV, I used to think that exercising in the snow looked cool. After trying it, I'm not sure how honest Hollywood has been with us. That's what made you doubt their veracity? Yeah. Yeah, now, I'm sure for Rocky, that was actual snow. But nowadays, they got somebody rolling around in the snow. It's fake stuff. All right, so we're at, this is Hers Ridge, and the Her Tavern is on the right there. The historic Her Tavern. And McPherson's Ridge is that ridge up ahead of us in the distance. The second ridge, not the one I'm about to go over. Not this one I'm on, but that one there. That's McPherson's Ridge. And we just crossed Willoughby Run. And there you go. And this is Seminary Ridge, Lee's headquarters on the left. The seminary would be to the right, but we're not going around the battlefield. We're going into town. And I'll give you a little bit of the battlefield, but let's go through town first. I know what I'll do. I'll give you a different route through the battlefield than what we normally do. I might lose you a couple times on it. I forget what the cell service is like because I rarely go these ways, but we'll find out. We'll find out. So stand by for Battlefield Adventures. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did Willoughby own the whole stretch of the run? I don't know why it's Willoughby's run. I mean, I think he's lucky that he got his name attached to it at all. I don't know. I guess you should call it Willoughby's run. But why haven't they until recently, right? All right, so let's see. We're on Chambersburg Street, and I see a porch light on. So this block is okay. And it looks like this next block is okay. The power's supposed to be out from like 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So, okay, so maybe it's going to be the first block off the square that is without power. No, wait, I'm seeing exterior lights. So what the hell is going on? So maybe there is no outage? All right. I see lights on inside. Gettysburg is open. Places are open. What? So what was this all about? I know people who close their businesses because of this power outage, supposedly. But I see lights on. Okay. But it also looks like they're not on. I do see lights and I don't know. The hotel's got lights. Well, they probably have a generator. Starbucks, that's in the hotel. Upper Crust has lights. All right, I don't understand what that was all about. There's lights on everywhere. So, okay. I swear, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. Kadaka. Now what we're going to do is go to this lot here by Lee's Buffet. We're going to turn right and we're going to go into Liberty Street there. And the Liberty Street, I don't know which accent this is. It's like a little bit of French. It's a little bit of, what was that character on that TV show? And whatever. All right, now we're going on to East Confederate Avenue. Francis says catching up. Traffic lights are on. Cold day to cut the power. Yeah, well, that's what they're saying in the article. Is like the power or the temperature is supposed to be like 41 or something like that. That ain't good, says hello, uncle. Is that Jojo? Is that Joey? Boricua in Utah. Hello, how are you? John B. Father Guido Salducci. Is it Salducci or Sarducci? SP says the importance of punctuation. 1, McPherson's Woods. 2, Edward McPherson Woods, boy shot by his brother. Oh, I see what you're saying there. Yes. So that's Culp's Hill in the front right there. That's a person walking. And we're about to go over a little bridge. And we're going to turn at this bend because otherwise we would go straight into the embankment. Morning, James. How are you? East Confederate Avenue is great for walking, says. Yes, it is, actually. Yeah, it is, because there's a lot of shade. So in the summertime, you want to go for a long walk, but you don't want to be in the sun. This is where you go. Not too hilly, enough hills to keep you healthy. But I wouldn't even call them hills. I would just call them inclines, like right here. Whee! See that? And then we get up to the top and we've got a plateau for a good bit. And then it goes down and we go, whee! We put our hands up in the air. I'm not going to do that because I have to turn. But look at that, and it bends around. It's not as exciting when you're walking. You can't go as fast to really get that feeling in your stomach. But now, once again, it goes up a little bit. Oh, look at us go. And here we are. We go around a bend. So it's a very interesting terrain to walk on as you come around here. It's windy. It's long. It's a road. It's a long and winding road. And it leads to your door. And we go up here, yes. We go up here, and then, oh, look at that. Look at that. Now we're in Spangler's Meadow, 2nd Mass, 27th Indiana, slaughtered in this field. And then Spangler Spring is coming up here. We're stopping at the stop sign, and we're going, because there's a lot of traffic here, so you definitely need to stop. All right, which way should I go? Right or left? Right or left? Right or left? I always go right. Let's go left. We're going to take you through Party Field. For the longest time, I thought it was named that because this is where the high school kids used to come and get drunk back in the 60s and 70s. But that's not true, apparently. Well, they did, but that's not why it's called that. It's somebody's name. And oops. I wrote that on the guide exam, too. That it was called Party Field because that's where the high school kids partied. All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. All right. And Bill says, I feel like East Confederate Avenue is underappreciated. It's great. It is. It is both. Underappreciated and great. 6Q says, if I go wee with my hands in the air, I'm pretty sure Angie would not be impressed. No, don't do that. At least keep one hand on the wheel. Brandon Perry says, what's the wildest winter situation you've seen on the field? People ever run off the road over monuments or into witness trees or take anything else in their way? Well, there was that bus full of preschoolers that were crossing the road and somebody slid. No, I'm just kidding. So let's see that I've seen. I do remember. Well, we had one winter. I want to say this was the winter of 2010, and we had like big snow on top of big snow on top of big snow, and for most of that winter, park roads like this that aren't like state roads that are through streets or something like that were not plowed, so they were all closed for like the whole winter. And so you had limited access to the battlefield, but that was okay because you couldn't really get anywhere anyway because it had accumulated to like 4 feet of snow. I remember one particular snow, it was because it was wind, it was a blizzard, so it was like windy too. So like I had a full-size pickup truck at the time, and I had to dig it out. Like I couldn't get into the door. I had to dig a pathway to the door. And it was quite an interesting winter. But as far as seeing, it's hard for me to remember what season these things happen in, but there's always a tractor trailer that doesn't know where he's going. He's lost, and he thinks he can get somewhere by taking a park road, but the bend is too tight, and so the back wheels of the trailer uproot a flank marker. I remember that happened once over on Oak Ridge. Then you've got, I'm sure there had to have been people who've crashed into monuments. For God's sake, with all the people that crash into buildings around this town, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody crashed into a monument. I just don't recall off the top of my head. You have other things like that aren't cool by any means or funny. You have people taking their lives on the park. There was a lady who jumped off the Longstreet Tower. There was a guy who shot himself at the Winslow's Battery Monument, and apparently there's still a nick in the monument from the bullet. So there's darkness too. But your question wasn't about that per se, but I'm just kind of going off the top of my head here. Typically in the winter, I'm not out. I'm inside praying for either death or spring. So I don't really get out in it much to really know. Was that the year of the ice storm? I don't recall there being an ice storm. At least not here. I just know that it was a long, snowy, cold winter. Because we never had a break between the storms. You know, they just pile on top of each other, so you get no melt, which kind of blows. 2 feet 2 weeks apart in February. We got that on the side of the state too. Yeah, I think it was February. I think you're right. Brandon says, "Oh wow, I think Gettysburg darkness episode should be a thing on Ask a Guide. I just think it would be an interesting topic." That's not a bad idea. I just have to figure out how to approach it and not, when people take their lives, their families might still be out there, so I don't want to sensationalize it or anything. But there are stories like that. I'm sure there's more that I'm not aware of. I mean, if I told you all this, well, I don't remember them, but because they weren't really stories, they were just the fact that, a lot of people, when I first started living here and I got to meet locals my age who grew up here, the stories of them getting drunk in Devil's Den or losing their virginity on Benner's Hill and things like that were just all over the place. This isn't the way I meant to go. Sorry, I'm trying to take you a different way. I'll turn around. They were all over the place, and I was like, wow, that sounds like a different day and age. Even though it was my day and age, we didn't have a national park to disappear into near where I grew up. So if you wanted to do that stuff, you had to sneak away to do it in your house, which can be awkward. But anyway, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, there's a lot of good stories. I remember, I won't say who it was, but it was somebody who grew up here, and we were doing a little walk around with him, and we stopped talking about the battle and just talking about what it was like for him to grow up here back in his day. And he said something to the effect of, I always joke that if you were to go to Big Round Top with a metal detector, which you should never do because it's illegal, but he's saying if you were to, on that top layer you would find more crushed up beer cans from when he was a young man than you would find any historical artifacts. So there's a lot of interesting stories around here, because we think of it as an American shrine, which it is, and it should be treated as such, but it's also a place where people live and raise families and have done so since before the battle. And so there's like 2 layers of life here, and it's fascinating. So I like that idea, Brandon. I just got to figure out the angle. I got to figure out how to do it, and then I need to figure out who knows. I know who would know. 6 questions says, poor 74th PA monument. It gets hit so many times by cars that the park is building breastworks in front of it. Does it? I'm trying to think of the last time. Brandon says, I find those stories interesting, peeling back the curtain locally. Yeah, I think that's the one thing that we can do. Because it's more of a celebration of American culture to me, I think, than it is, embarrassing a community. Like, that's not the intention of it. The intention of it is to, because like you're saying, Brandon, like we think it's cool, like we think it's fascinating. So yeah, you got me thinking here. You got me thinking. Marsh Creek overflows the banks. We have found artifacts. Turned those over to park rangers. Are you talking, you found them like when it overflows? Oh, sorry. I'm yawning. I woke up at like 5:20 this morning because the dog was barking as she had her bowel troubles, and I couldn't go back to sleep. But now I could go back to sleep. I certainly could. Reality can be stranger than fiction. Yeah, no, it totally is stranger than fiction. That story that's been in the news about the redneck couple from I forget where that were on the bus with all the animals, and that, on the last AG Today we had an update on that story, and it's even weirder. It's definitely stranger than fiction. Because you know why? Because to write fiction that is like that story, no one would believe it unless you could point to a real story that you modeled it after. And then if you don't have a real story to model after and you just came up with that on your own, then the question remains, what are you up to? What's going on in your mind? Okay, so now we're on Wheatfield Road. Took kind of a back way to Wheatfield Road. Isn't that exciting? And I might lose you at the top of the hill. I'm not sure. I usually don't up at the top of the hill. But I will lose you if I go straight through and down. So we're just going to turn right on Sedgwick here and head on up yonder ways. I should have brought a water. So the Father Corby statue is coming up on the right. We had an episode last year about Father Corby with Kevin Bryant, and I just saw that he has been scheduled to do a show this year, and I wish I could remember what it was about. But we're doing another show with Kevin. I like Kevin. He's a good guy, and I hate to. You got to give credit where credit's due. He's got a much better voice than I could ever dream of cultivating, and I do like listening to it. I'm not going to lie to you. In the headphones, through those good microphones. Sounds good, not gonna lie. Not ashamed to admit, man has a better voice than I. Matt C. Oh, God, it's like I'm talking to myself. Hi, Matt. The first tour is the weekend after Easter. Yes. First tour is the weekend after Easter. I haven't, so I'm glad you asked this. Thank you. I spent all day yesterday arranging the Get Out of the Park tours. They're not all said and done. It's a little more complicated this year because we're going to different parks. And what's interesting to me is that even though they're the National Park Service, all these battlefields have different rules and things. For example, I called Antietam and I was like, okay, here's what we're doing. What do I need to do? And they're like, well, you got to have a representative from each car come in and pay a $20 fee. And I was like, you have a fee there? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, I've been there like 100 times. I've never paid a fee. And she's like, well, yeah, we've had it since 1987. And I was like, I didn't even know to even think that there would be a fee at a national park. Like, I had no idea. So there's a fee that you have to pay. Well, so now that logistically, that complicates things. So then I called Brad Gottfried, who's going to be the guide for that tour, because he's a guide down there and you know him from the show. And I said, say, Brad. I said, Brad, so we have this thing with the parking, et cetera, et cetera. And I go, so wherever we do the tour, it should probably just be within walking distance of the main lot at the visitor center. Because otherwise, here's what's going to happen. People are going to go. Now, if you have a pass, like a park service, national parks pass or whatever they call it, it doesn't matter. You don't need to worry about it. I guess you should go in and just kind of let them know you're there, but I don't think you need to, because if anybody stops you, then you show them the pass. But otherwise, you got to go in, you got to pay your 20 smackers, and you got to then get back in your car. And let's say we were going to do it over at the sunken lane, okay? So now you got to get back in your car and get over to the sunken lane. Well, let's say if you're not familiar with the place or what. There's a million things that can go wrong when you have 40 cars doing more than one thing, doing something more than showing up at a given location complicates things. And we're not doing a thing where we're caravanning. This is a get out of the car tour, so we're not caravanning. So like when I was talking to Matt Borders at Monocacy, he was proposing the full battlefield tour, and I was like, as long as we don't have to caravan. He's like, oh, we do. And I said, no, one spot, just give us really compelling stories in that one spot, we walk. And so I talked to Matt Borders about Monocacy, I talked to Brad Gottfried about Antietam, and I talked to Harry Smeltzer about Bull Run, trying to figure out where we're going to go, how we're going to do it, what we're going to tell everybody. Here's what I'm going to suggest for maybe all of them, but at least some of them. For those of you who can, like if Gettysburg is in between your home and the final destination of the day, then let's meet here in Gettysburg and consolidate. Let's carpool. If you've got space and you're willing to carpool, you're willing to be the driver, let's do that. And then we can just get people to squeeze into fewer cars so that it's easier to park. Because the one thing that we're spoiled by is the parking here in Gettysburg. We have a lot of it. And they don't have a lot of it elsewhere because they don't get anywhere near the visitation that we get. I'm sure you could park on roads, but we don't want to gum up the works at these other parks. We don't want to gum up the works at our parks here. That's why we always tell you, park where legal, keep your tires on the road, yada, yada, yada. But yes, so we try to do the third Saturday of every month. That's not going to work out this year. Sometimes it will be, sometimes it won't be. Sometimes they'll be free, sometimes they won't. Well, actually, we might be able to make them free if we can get some funding for that foundation that Tim Day has started for us. He did start it to offset the costs of get out of the car tours and to fund video projects, educational video projects and educational events that we're planning on holding, that we have a whole list of ideas to do, and we will unveil them as time goes. I don't tell you them now because people have more money already at hand and they go and do them. I just saw a post of somebody that is doing something I told them I'd like to do like a year ago, and now they're doing it, but they've got the funding. So we're hoping to, we got to keep things close to the vest until we know we're ready to do them, and then we'll let you know, and hopefully you'll donate to the nonprofit. You will get, of course, your tax write-off materials and all that jazz. So yeah, it is the Saturday after Easter. Also, that Saturday, we are recording that night a show at the seminary. It'll be the July 2nd anniversary episode. It is an in-person Ask a Gettysburg guide. Louis Trott is the guide there. The previous Saturday, the 19th, that is Easter Eve, and I know a lot of people have big Easter Eve plans. I know the Italians, like on Christmas Eve, they do the 7 fishes. On Easter Eve, they do the 7 olives. So I know that a lot of people have big events planned for that. But we hope that if you don't have one planned on Easter Eve, that you would spend it with us over at the seminary in our audience. We're only limiting the audience to 20 people, and we are making it only available to our patrons. Because our patrons are freaking awesome and they've been with us for a long time, and I'd like to do things that are exclusively for them every once in a while. So if you do want to come to one, though, go ahead and become a patron over at patreon.com/addressinggettysburg, and then you can sign up for the tickets. There's also Jim Hessler on May 3rd and Jim Pangburn on April 19th. That would be July 1st. So it's July 1st, April 19th, Jim Pangburn. July 2nd, April, 27th, I think? Whatever the following Saturday is. That is Louis Trott, and we're doing July 2nd then. And then Jim Hessler, July 3rd, on May 3rd. And I might have somebody bringing some interesting artifacts from Pickett's Charge that you have never seen because they're in private hands. They're not in a museum. I'll let you know if I can actually get that squared away. So, yes. Hi, Matt. Oh, yeah, I got that. Carpool passengers should share fuel costs. I hate when my colleagues freeload on my kindness. Notehead, great point. And I will remind everybody to do that, especially if I can keep them free. Right? It's like, okay, you're getting this tour for free. This person's all volunteering to drive you. I'm not asking you to tip me, but don't let them pay the full freight of gas, please. I was talking to somebody last night, and they're like, wait, you don't charge for these? I'm like, no. I'm like, how do you make money? And I was like, I don't. And they're like, why? And I go, because I want them to be free. He's like, but you got to make money. Like, and I go, no. If I charge for them, 80 to 100 people won't show up. And he's like, yeah, but I mean, you put in a lot of work. I go, it's a write-off. Donation links on no. So Matt C, the donation links, we will put a link to the foundation's website. It's called the Digital History Pioneers Foundation. It will we will link to that. It's not my nonprofit, and it's not addressing Gettysburg's. It's got nothing to do with it except that it was created to support our projects by a very kind listener. So so we will link to it, and then you can go there and you can donate through the website in various ways. He'll have electronic forms. You'll also be able to send a check in if you want to do that. I'm sure, whatever. He's actually getting close to getting the finishing touches on it, as I understand it. So not a moment too soon either, because we need to get some fundage. Wait until I tell you. Patrons, you will know maybe before June, but definitely by June, what we're working on for next January and February. Donation, I'm sorry, only 10 national parks are free. All the rest have entrance fees. Well, clearly I don't go to national parks enough. Or when I have, I just wander on them and I didn't realize that you're supposed to go check in. There are veterans passes for parks, but only limited places to get them in person to avoid the online application fee. Okay, so yeah. So, veteran passes, like whatever gets you in. I don't know all the different things. I'm not like, I don't go to all the parks, so I don't get into like the passports and all those things that they have. But if you're one of those people who does, whatever will get you in for free, if you have it, then that'll work. If you don't have it, get it. And then you don't have to worry. You can also go to a website, I think it's called recreation.gov, and you can pay ahead of time so you don't have to go through that bullshit, and you can just get out of your car and meet the crew and start the tour. But all that information will be in the descriptions once I put the tour dates up on the website. I'm going to start putting the tour dates up on the website incomplete, because it is taking longer to get everything done. Because again, it's, Lewis and I, like, we know how it works. There's not a lot of back and forth, and boom, we're done. But here we're dealing with new people and new places, and every one of them is its own situation. Which makes me think I might not want to do it in 2027, no matter how successful it is this year. Or at least I'm not going to care if we get 80 to 100 people and I'm going to start charging and we'll get a bus or something like that. So we'll see. We'll see how this year goes. We'll try to figure it out as best we can. Next year, we'll be back here in Gettysburg all season. This year, April and October in Gettysburg, and Lewis is doing those tours. Okay. Oh, God. 60 second. There are veteran... Oh, yeah, got that. James says you can get lifetime pass for senior citizens for $80. That's right. You can do that. So you guys, all the things you could do. Do them if you haven't done them. And that way you don't have to deal with all that crap. I'm going to go get a coffee, and then I'm going to go check and see if we have electricity. I think we do. I don't think it's whatever they said it was going to be. So you guys have a great day. Have a great weekend. I will see you sometime next week. Goodbye for now.